So our 125cc turbo drift kart build is really starting to take shape now. And in the last video, we finally got to hear a little bit of turbo flutter. But a little bit of turbo flutter is not enough. We need to get this thing running at full noise. Now we've only been able to test this setup for very short periods of time because we don't have any oil lines hooked up to our turbo, and I really don't want to blow this turbo up. Previously, I was just feeding oil into this hole just to keep the journal bearings afloat. But in this video, I'm hoping that we can get this thing up and running properly and we can hear a little bit more of those turbo noises. So the first thing we're gonna do is hook up the oil lines to our turbo. Of course, that means we need some AN fittings. Look at that. So here is everything that we need to run the oil lines to the turbo from the motor. And to do that, I'm using something that you guys suggested. So in the comments, you guys said that you can buy oil coolers for these things and they come with a plate. That's this guy right here that will allow you to take oil from the motor and put it into the turbo. And that is absolutely spot on. So this plate bolts on right here and gives us these two ports right here that allow us to take oil out of the motor and put oil back into the motor. So without further ado, let's throw it onto our motor. First up, we remove the stop plate from the engine to make way for our new oil plate and gasket. Once that's fit up, we throw on our new fittings and washers, then fit up our AN push lock fittings. Ooh, that does look pretty fancy. Next up, we fit up our oil drain fitting with two M6 bolts followed by an AN fitting. Once we fit the turbo feed fitting on the top, it's time to make our new lines. First, we measure the length before making our cut and pushing the line onto the push lock fitting. Don't forget to have a real stressed look on your face while you're doing this. Now that our lines are made, it's time to fit them up to our turbo drift kart. And just like that, our oil lines are complete. And this is how they are currently running at the moment. So we've got our feed here, the top of the sandwich plate along. I'm trying to keep it out of the way of all the heat and into the top of our turbo. And then down here, we've got the return. So it comes from the bottom of the turbo right here along, and this is the more difficult one, I guess you'd say, and it comes through to here. I will angle this down a little bit because realistically you don't want the return going upwards at all. You should always have it gravity fed, but given that the turbo is sitting so high and well above the oil line in the car, it shouldn't be a problem. And what we're going to do is we're going to run it up and make sure that we actually have oil pressure coming out of the turbo feed, and make sure that I've got the lines around the right way on our sandwich plate. I'm pretty sure the top one's the feed. And Bailey is here because he's going to help us tune this thing and kind of get it running a little bit better. I haven't done the best job when it comes to tuning. I've just got it running as best I can, but today we're hoping we can get this thing doing a little more turbo flutter things. And we even have some alloy pipe here that we can run as a dose pipe. So they'll go on the front of the turbo. We'll cut it off here. But first things first, obviously we need to make sure we have our oil pressure. Then we can move on to getting this thing running a little bit better. All right, so Bailey's got the oil line sitting in our oil pan so that we don't spill it everywhere if it actually works, which it should. Just push the button.
Guess so.
Our wee battery needs a charge by the sounds of things. It's all right, we have a jumper pack.
It's reversed.
Oh no!
Backwards.
Oh no! That's not supposed to be coming out the top of the turbo. Yeah, we got it backwards. Whoops.
Now we know.
Yep, that's what happens when you have a 50-50 when you have a 50-50 chance of getting it right. You 50-50 chance of getting it wrong, and I got it wrong. I'm happy that it actually worked. Like, it feeds oil. That's so good. It just fed it backwards. So we reversed the lines. They're all sorted now, and we know that we have oil pressure to the turbo, which is absolutely awesome because now we can run this thing for long periods of time whilst doing some tuning and actually get it running properly. The aim for today is to see this thing actually make proper boost and be happy about it, because although we were seeing about 8 PSI on the boost gauge, which is crazy, it wasn't so happy the whole setup. But that's because I didn't have the right timing, I didn't have the right fuel, and obviously that means that motor's just not gonna run properly. Today is the day. Currently Bailey is going over the fuel map at the moment and setting it up, kind of ballparking it, because we need to run it, see what it's doing, and then kind of tweak and tune things. I don't think our oil drain is working too well. Yeah, there's a little bit of oil coming out there. I can see it coming out the V-band at the back of the turbo. So that's the thing with a project like this. Not everything is gonna work exactly as you wished first time, every time. So we're gonna have to go ahead and rethink our oil drain. I think it's because it's going upwards. Like the outward trajectory is just not very good. So what I'm gonna do now is I've got some more line. I'm gonna remake it, but I'm just gonna go straight back for now into this hole right here that goes into the sump. This is where you fill the oil up, so I think that's gonna work a lot better for us. So here is the short one that we had before, and now here is the long boy that we have, and we're just gonna go straight into this hole. So the oil drain is all fixed up. Look at this. Runs all the way down here and back into the motor. Bailey's been doing his wizardry on the computer. Tell us what you've done, Bailey. Yeah, tap, tap, tap. All right, here we go. Man, it looks so cool with the turbo. I actually love it. All right, she's running. Woohoo! A little flutter there. Dose pipe. Should we tuck it on? I just want to see if it increases the flutter. It might be hard to hear the flutter on camera, but it's significantly louder now than it was before. It doses! It flutters, it doesn't quite dose yet. Alright, oh look at the turbo just spooling away in there. How good, dude. Alright, so it definitely flutters. I think we can do better. I'm gonna cut this down to like a wee dose pipe, make it straight for starters, and we'll put a silicone joiner on there. You're gonna have that sitting right there. That's the most brushed. Look at that. Oh. What is that? What's the angle? Look at these are your TIG welds. Look at how beautiful it all is. And then this is how you put a hose clamp on. That hurts my OCD so bad. Oh, how do you put a hose clamp on like that?
I'll hide it.
Ah, there we go. Look, see that's put it in there. That's nice. This is so exciting though. Look at that though. That is exactly what you want on your drift kart.
That looks like something Cam Martin would run.
It looks sick.
Yeah, because it's cheap.
So our dose pipe is finally installed. Shout out Bailey for putting the clamps the right way. Good job. Nah, it looked awesome. Super happy with that. I mean, it looks interesting. Awesome, maybe a strong word, but it's a dose pipe. Now, one thing we actually have just noticed. We pulled the spark plug out of the motor just to have a quick look, and it's actually cracked. It's probably really hard. Oop, and I just dropped it again. Now it's cracked twice. It's probably really hard to see on camera, or maybe not, actually you can see. It's missing a chunk of the spark plug right here, and also the spark plug has been through hell. So while we were out grabbing lunch, we went and saw our good friends at Autobarn, and we grabbed an NGK spark plug for this thing. So we're actually giving it the good stuff, because the other spark plug is just a random Chinese spark plug. So technically this should be a massive upgrade, and potentially that's why we can't rev the motor over 8,600 RPM. So we're gonna throw this in the motor, and then we're gonna run it up again with our dose pipe and see if we can get some fluttery noises going on. Boo! Woo, look at that. Straight in the hole, baby. Going dry. For anyone wondering, this is the part number for the spark plug.
We relocated the kart from the table onto the ground so we could start testing the tunes to see which one gave us the best dose.
So after maybe an hour and a half of mucking around with the kart, we think we've found the ultimate dose tune. Check this out. That's so good. How good, that's crazy. It actually doses. The exhaust overpowers the sound of the dose pretty badly, so we're gonna have to put a muffler in that, but like, can't be mad at that. Oh. So it has been a rather successful night, really. It's quite interesting with these setups. It's just such an unknown. It's a bit of a trial and error thing. I think even if you're an experienced tuner, because it's such an interesting motor.
Yeah, well, you just don't know anything about anything, do you?
Yeah.
No information on anything.
Yeah.
No information on the software, the injector.
Yeah.
I mean, we know it's a 125. We think.
Yeah, but then even that, because it's obviously a motor out of China, it's just got a 125cc number slapped on it.
Yeah.
But now we're gonna play with a little two-step. I saw the comments, I know you guys wanna see it, so we're gonna pop some flames out of this thing, hopefully, and maybe blow out eardrums in the process. Unfortunately, the ECU itself does not have the ability to do two-step. However, we have the ability to do two-step, just like we had on the AE Falcon. So basically what it is an ignition cut.
Manual two-step.
That's correct.
Manual mode.
So we will actually put a button on this thing. For now, there's a wire that sends the signal to spark. So basically you tap these two things together when it's running, it'll act like two-step. You'll get nice big flames out the exhaust because it is an ignition cut. But I'll put a button here so that whenever I want to push it, we'll be able to throw sparks and flames out the exhaust. But for now, let's have some fun with two-step. That is so loud. My eardrums. You should really wear ear protection if you're going to be doing something like that. Oh yeah, that's right.
Literally on the ground.
I forgot to put it on. Oh my god, that works so well. Holy crap, I can't wait to watch the video. I was literally putting my face away from the back of the car, so I didn't actually get to see whether it popped flames, but I'm assuming, editing this, that it definitely did. And also, I'm pretty sure my neighbors think that we're shooting.
The poor residents in this area, bro.
It actually plays into our favor. There's a gun range really close by, and that's the exact noise that you hear from the gun range. All the time. So, best area, it's a good area to live in. And just like that, the car is back on the table. We are done for tonight. Not done for this video though. We will be back here tomorrow morning, but we've had enough of smelling all the fumes that this thing has been putting out while we've been tuning it all day. So we're gonna call it a wrap for tonight, but so much freaking success. See you guys in the morning. Bye. Well, winter is finally here. We've got the heater cranking. It might seem a bit pointless because, well, we have the doors open and everything, but actually the heater just provides that little bit of warmth, you know? You can just walk up to it and warm your legs up a little bit while you're thinking about what to do next on the frickin' drift kart. And guess what? I was laying in bed last night and I had a little bit of a thought to myself. Today, we might actually be able to ride this thing for the first time, which I didn't fully anticipate in this video, which shows you guys how much I actually planned these videos in advance. So basically what I'm thinking is, I'll tidy up the wiring loom, because now that we know everything works, we can actually start tidying everything up. But the one main thing that is missing for us to actually ride this thing is we have no brakes. I visited the go-kart shop and we actually have our new brakes sitting right here. So as you can see, this is a hydraulic setup as opposed to a cable setup. The cable setup was notoriously unreliable and I do not think it has the power to stop this kart now that it's much heavier and actually makes more power. Whereas the hydraulic brakes work the same every single time. You can't stretch the cable because there is no cable. It's all hydraulic. So what we're gonna do is we have to make a new bracket so that this big caliper can mount under here on our brake system, and then this guy we're going to mount over here, and it's going to be a pull style handbrake, basically the same as the drift car. So we'll have the shifter here and then a pull style handbrake here, mostly because there's not really space for a foot brake. Here's the clutch on this side, and then we've got to make an accelerator pedal on this side, and there's no real room for a brake pedal, whereas if you got brakes on a handle, at least you can slow down, and obviously it works well for drifting as well. But for now, this is going to work nicely, and I really want to take it for a ride today and see if A, it actually revs under load, and B, how the turbo sounds under load as well, which is super exciting. So first things first, let's tidy up this frickin' wiring loom. Back on the ground, baby. Man, I really do not enjoy wiring one single bit. That sucked. It's just something I'm really not good at. My brain just doesn't work well with wiring, but I got everything kind of pretty well sorted out to the point where we can take it for a ride. There's still a bunch of messy stuff going on in the back here, so it's not perfect, but at the same time, I'm gonna have to strip this whole thing, weld it and paint it anyway. So I just wanted to get to a point where obviously we could take it for a ride, have some fun on it. And now it's time to sort out the brakes. So what I'm thinking is we've got this handle here that I had spare laying around from a shifter off my E36. And we're gonna use that as our pull handle for the brakes. I'm too excited to drive. The sun is going down, so there's no time like the present to get this done. Let's go.
While Woz is busy TIG welding a bracket onto our handle, I made up the bracket to hold our brake caliper in place. Once that was made, I bolted it to our caliper and welded it to the chassis. Then I got to work making the brackets that will hold our hydraulic cylinder and handle. Once they were done, we welded them up and welded them to the frame of our turbo kart.
And of course, the most rewarding part, chucking the knob back on. Everyone loves to chuck a good knob on, you know? And just like that, we now have brakes. On the drift kart, look at this setup. It's all kind of tentatively together at the moment. I'm gonna tidy it up when we go ahead and paint the frame. So we're gonna round off the corners and all that stuff on everything, make it look pretty, paint it all. But for now, the brakes work like phenomenally. Hydraulic brakes are definitely the way to go for sure. The line's a little bit too long, so I've got it wrapped around at the moment, but I'm gonna make a custom line for this. But essentially, we're ready to take it for its first ride. And I'm both excited and quite nervous about it. I've done a full bolt check on this thing, so at least I know hopefully it's not gonna fall apart on us. The whole thing's kind of, like I said, tentatively put together. So I'll do a couple laps down the street, nothing crazy. Obviously, we've still got to put it on the dyno and tune it properly. But for now, she's on E85, so we know that this thing should be relatively safe in terms of tune. But enough talking, let's take this thing for a frickin' rip. Cross your fingers for me, because I'm kind of nervous. All right, safety first, helmet on. All right, so the brake is here. Shifter, let's do this thing. What a freaking success. That actually just blew my mind. I expected it to kind of work, but the tune actually feels really good. It revs well. And my God, I don't know if you noticed on the video, but the throttle that I have rigged up doesn't actually make the throttle body open up to 100%. So what I had to do on the second runs that we did was hold this with my hand. So I held the throttle like fully open. And man, that thing in fourth gear, it goes so freaking good. It's actually scary. And I probably just pushed it way harder than I should have, but I got really G'd up. I know I said I was gonna take it easy, but that was so freaking fun. I can't wait to have this thing back properly dialed so I can give it some real beans without worrying about dying. I had this wee microphone right here rigged up to see if we were getting any of the turbo noises, because the exhaust on this thing is just so loud. I can't wait to put a muffler in it. I actually put steel wool in the exhaust to try and quieten it down a bit, which kind of worked a little bit. But in terms of the turbo being too big, I actually don't think it is now that I've had it on the road and making boost. It was almost making 1 bar of boost on the boost gauge. Now that probably isn't entirely accurate in terms of how much boost it's seeing at the motor. Because of where we have our boost line hooked up here at the front of the turbo, you really need it here on the intake manifold so that you can get a genuine reading of what boost the motor's seeing. But we know it's spooling the turbo up to make that amount of boost. But next week we're taking it to BSC Performance and we're throwing it on my friend Bogger's dyno. That is when we'll see some true numbers on this thing. But nonetheless, this thing freaking works, and it works so well to the point where It's scary. But that is the end of this video. Please hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed the video. Throw a comment down below. I always love to hear what you guys have to say, and it really helps push the video out into the algorithm. Also, I have just secured the new build for the channel, and it is one of the most exciting builds I've ever done, which says a lot considering the things that we've done on this channel. So we're gonna get straight into finishing the R32 non-stop until that thing is finished, because this new project is gonna be crazy. But thank you guys so much for watching. What an awesome video. That was so freaking fun. And I'll see you guys in the next video. You. Peace. She makes flames, she doses, and it actually works. How freaking crazy. Bye.